Most countries in the world are separated into geographical or governmental regions, such as states like the US or even counties in the UK. Japan also has such a system. The entire country is divided up into 8 regions, but further still into what are known as prefectures. There are 47 in total, and it is these prefectures that play an administrative role within the country and are most often used to describe locations and events in Japan. Yet, compared to something such as the states, how many people actually know what they're called, where they are, or what's different about each of them? It is my goal in this video to help briefly highlight each prefecture and the region in which they sit, and share a little bit about each. We've got 47 to get through, so let's begin. First up, we have the most northerly prefecture within its own region of Hokkaido. It's one of the 4 main islands in the Japanese archipelago and the largest prefecture in the country. Its capital city is Sapporo, where it plays host every year to the popular Sapporo Snow Festival, in which amazing sculptures are created using just snow and ice, of which Hokkaido gets in abundance. It was also once home to the different people known as the Ainu, but most have been integrated into Japanese society and only a few indigenous people remain. Moving south, we reach our next prefecture, Aomori, which sits on the northern tip of the main island of Honshu, within the Tohoku region. Aomori is known to be the apple capital of Japan, due to producing over half the country's entire volume, and the prefecture goes all out in showcasing it through a vast array of apple products. It's also home to the lesser known but beautiful castle town of Hirosaki. Towards the southeast, we find ourselves in Iwate Prefecture. Now Iwate is home to picturesque landscapes, the dominating heights of Mount Iwate, and the vibrant city of Morioka, yet it is perhaps the most famous for its 3 great noodle series of dishes. Morioka Ramen, which is a cold noodle dish conceived by a former North Korean resident, Morioka Jjajangmyeon, which is of Chinese origin and consists of a dry set of udon noodles, but uniquely served with a thick, meaty miso paste. And finally, the now almost legendary Wanko Soba, and the associated challenge in which servers will immediately and continuously refill your bowl until you give up. Below Iwate is Miyagi Prefecture, within which is the largest city in the Tohoku region, that being Sendai. There are many things to see and do in the city, not least taking a look at the 100 metre or 330 foot tall Sendai Daikanon statue, which is the 2nd tallest statue in all of Japan. A short distance from the city, you can also find Matsushima Bay, heralded as one of the top 3 most scenic spots in the country, which is quite a feat. Going back up to the southwestern prefecture below Aomori is Akita. Officially number 5 on the list, you may initially recognise the name as it shares the name of a popular breed of dog, of which the famous Hachiko was part of. It's a fairly mountainous prefecture, but with scenic spots such as Lake Tozawa, which is surrounded by multiple onsens and ski resorts. Further south is Yamagata, a prefecture that is perhaps underrated for its exquisite natural landscape. Surrounded by mountains, 17% of the land is designated as natural parks. It is also known as the fruit basket of Japan, producing a variety of different kinds, but it's especially known for its cherries. Lastly on our trip through the Tohoku region is Fukushima Prefecture, which is now unfortunately synonymous with the meltdown of the Fukushima power plant which occurred from the devastating earthquake and resulting tsunami in 2011. However, it should also be known as an excellent sake producing region and for its superb mountainous landscape, which can provide some spectacular views along its winding roads. Directly south of Fukushima, we cross the border into the region of Kanto. There are 7 densely concentrated prefectures in total here. However, 5 of them encompass Tokyo and what is known as the Greater Tokyo Area, or Tokyo Metropolitan Area. These are Ibaraki, Saitama, Chiba, Tokyo, and Kanagawa. The other 2 are Gunma Prefecture, a mountainous and volcanic land, which gives rise to brilliant onsen towns such as the traditional Kusatsu Onsen, and Tochigi Prefecture, split by mountains in the north and plains to the south, known for its gyoza and the Wakayama bamboo forest that rival the famous Arashiyama bamboo forest of Kyoto. Moving west, we cross now into the central region of Chubu, starting with Niigata, which encroaches upon the boundaries of both Tohoku and Kanto. Niigata Prefecture is renowned for receiving large amounts of snowfall during the winter, and as such has a plethora of ski resorts dotted across the area. Interestingly, Niigata is also the origin of the Nishiki-goe coloured carp that have become a widespread symbol of Japan. Further along the coastline is Toyama Prefecture, where the geography starts to converge, with the mountainous regions to the northeast and the flatter, warmer regions to the southwest. This creates an ideal environment for all seasons, where you can experience lush forests, splendid waterfalls, and snow-capped mountains all in one place. The best way to experience all of this is by trying what is known as the Tateyama Kurube Alpine Route. Moving west further still is the prefecture of Ishikawa. For around 250 years, Ishikawa was ruled by the wealthy Kaga clan and became a hub for fine art and creativity. This legacy still exists today, especially in its capital, Kanazawa, which is home to multiple art museums, one of the three great gardens of Japan, Kenroku-en, and is another underappreciated castle town. The most westerly prefecture in Chubu belongs to Fukui Prefecture, with its peculiar boundaries seemingly jutting into the neighbouring Kansai region. This creates a long stretch of coastline which is so stunning its entirety has been designated as a quasi-national park. This being the case, seafood is a local speciality, especially crab dishes. Fukui is also for seekers of traditional Japan, with the likes of Aheji Temple within its borders. This is one of the largest Buddhist temple complexes in the country, which is both a popular tourist destination and a serious site of meditation. Moving now to the opposite end of the region is the prefecture of Yamanashi. The first thing to note about Yamanashi is that it's the first prefecture that brings us into contact with Mount Fuji, the northern half at least, and possibly the most overused photo location of Mount Fuji at Arakureyama Sengen Park. Oh, and it also has the world's oldest onsen nearby to boot too, named Nishiyama Onsen Keunkan. If Chubu is the most central region of Japan, then Nagano is the most central prefecture in the entire country. It's Japan's largest landlocked prefecture, with absolute tons to offer. It spans the second half of the Tateyama Kurube Alpine route from Toyama mentioned earlier. It's where you can see the famous snow monkeys of Jigokudani Yaen Koen and the breathtaking valley of Kamikochi. In short, it's a bit of an explorer's paradise. Now at number 21, we have Gifu Prefecture, which is steeped in tradition and historical importance. Within Gifu is the town of Sekigahara, which is the spot of perhaps the most pivotal battle in Japanese history, leading to the rise of the Tokugawa shogunate. You can also find towns such as Takayama, Shirakarago, and Gokayama, which are fantastically preserved towns and villages that have changed very little in hundreds of years. The southern portion of Chubu contains two prefectures, the first one being Shizuoka. Here we re-encounter Mount Fuji on the other side of the Yamanashi border, and with it come some stunning vistas. On the other side, however, Shizuoka has a vast coastline that faces the Pacific Ocean with pristine beaches and onsen resorts. On top of that, it's also Japan's top tea producer, with its fields spread across the region. The second of our two southern Chubu prefectures is Aichi, which for the most part is dominated by Japan's fourth most populated city of Nagoya. The city rests in the northwestern part of the prefecture, making it well connected to the neighbouring Kansai region, as well as the back east due to being a stop on the famous Hokkaido Shinkansen train line. As for things to do, there are multiple castles, shrines, and even the Ghibli Museum. Talking of Kansai, that's exactly where we're heading next. Much like Kanto, the Kansai region is a smaller cluster of prefectures that contribute a lot to the same overall feel. What I mean by that is that Kansai is the place to go if you want to experience traditional or old world Japan. This area, after all, was, for a long time, the political centre of Japan. There is Kyoto, the old capital of Japan. Nara, which also has been the capital at one time, but is now known for its bowing deer. Mie, which is home to one of, if not the most sacred site in all Japan, the Issei Grand Shrine, dedicated to the goddess Amaterasu. Wakayama for its serene mountain-top temple complex of Koyasan, and to some extent Hyogo Prefecture, with the famous town and castle of Himeji. All of these prefectures are filled with temples, shrines, storied towns and castles, and traditional Japanese buildings that fill you with a historical wonderment. However, mixed in with these is the tiny prefecture of Osaka, with the city of the same name, renowned for being lively and less orthodox than other parts of Japan. And also Shiga Prefecture, which is dominated by Japan's largest freshwater lake named Lake Biwa. Now it's time to move further west, where we now come to the Chugoku region, and the last of Japan's main island of Honshu. Starting with Tottori, which is a thin northerly part of the region. It boasts some surreal sand dunes that stretch for 9 miles. It is also home to Mount Daisen, a sacred mountain that is incredibly popular, in part thanks to its resemblance to Mount Fuji, although it's only half the elevation. This makes it a popular location for hikers. Next door along the coastline is Shimane, which is perhaps one of the least known prefectures of Japan. It's also one of the least populated, only second to neighbouring Tottori we just visited, with the vast majority of its population living along its 118-mile stretch of coastline. However, Shimane also possesses a series of islands known as the Oki Islands. These are a set of 180 islands, of which only 4 are permanently inhabited, but are part of a UNESCO Global Geopark and perfect for a quieter spot of hiking, snorkeling and scenic sightseeing. For our next prefecture, we travel back to the south of Tottori, where we enter Okayama. From here, our journey across Honshu is nearly at an end, and Okayama gives us the means to leave via the Great Seto Bridge across the Seto Inland Sea to the island of Shikoku. However, we're not quite there yet. Okayama is home to Korakuen, one of the 3 great gardens of Japan, and the historic town of Kurashiki is worth a trip for its beautiful canals that cover its entirety. Next door to Okayama, we get back to slightly more familiar territory with Hiroshima Prefecture. Now, we can't really continue without mentioning that the city of Hiroshima was the target of the first atomic bomb on the 6th of August 1945, which killed roughly 150,000 people. Remarkably, however, it has risen to become a thriving metropolitan area. The prefecture as a whole, though, offers a lot. The island of Miyajima and its floating torii gate that sits on the sparkling Seto Inland Sea, and the geography of the entire region being a forested mountainside make for a photographer's dream prefecture, especially in the autumn. Now we come to the end of both the Chugoku region and Japan's main island of Honshu, with the prefecture of Yamaguchi. It's another prefecture that is often overlooked, but has its own charm with its rugged coastline and warmer climate. One of its most well-known contributions is its production and consumption of fugu, the poisonous blowfish, at least not when prepared properly. Another major contribution is the famous multi-arched Kin-Taikyo Bridge, which is the only one of its kind in Japan, and it also has a great spot for cherry blossom or autumn colour viewings. Our time to leave Honshu has come, and we now go back and cross the bridge to Japan's smallest of the main islands, Shikoku. There are 4 prefectures here: Tokushima, Kagawa, Ehime, and Kochi, all of which are similar in that all of its cities lie around the coastline of the region. This leaves the rest of each prefecture and Shikoku as a whole engulfed by mountains and is heavily forested at around 70% of the total landmass. This geographical divide, so to speak, of coastal cities with a rural and almost wild centre gives Shikoku a host of opportunities. With a warmer climate, you can enjoy the scenery of the various port towns and partake in activities such as sea fishing, snorkeling or boat tours throughout the year, but they also serve as a great base for the more adventurous traveller. Hiking and trekking through Shikoku's untouched valleys and mountain passes is second to none in Japan. Ehimei's Mount Ishizuchi in particular is a high point, no pun intended, but it's also not the easiest to climb. There's also the crystal clear rivers of the Shimato, Niyodo and the Yoshino, which spreads throughout the prefecture where you can kayak or raft in absolute paradise. The last thing to mention perhaps is what Shikoku is most famous for, and that's the 88 Temple Pilgrimage, a journey that takes you through all 4 prefectures, exploring the 88 Buddhist temples of the island. We now shift our attention to the last of Japan's main islands, Kyushu, and our first prefecture here is Fukuoka in the north. Its capital city of the same name, as well as its neighbour Kita-Kyushu, are actually the 2 largest cities of the entire region in that order. It's a prefecture that is celebrated for 2 things above all: its food, especially ramen and seafood such as eels, and its festivals, namely Yamakasa, which involves men racing to carry enormous floats across the district of Hakata, as well as the Hakata Dontaku, where floats, parades and performances occur during Japan's Golden Week at the end of April. To the west of Fukuoka is Saga Prefecture, the smallest of the region. Uniquely to Saga is its affinity for pottery and ceramics, especially in the smaller town of Arita, where clay was once discovered. You can find museums, shrines and festivals dedicated to it here, as well as across the prefecture as a whole. The port town of Karatsu is also important, where in the past it served as a trading hub and helped further expand its pottery business. Now it's also loved for its beautiful bay, castle and festivals. Now we come to the very western edge of Kyushu and of Japan, with Nagasaki, a prefecture that is geographically diverse with multiple peninsulas, offshore islands and a massive inland bay connected by 2 extremely narrow straits. It's a prefecture with a strong European aesthetic due to its capital being an internationally connected port city, and specifically helped by the Dutch, who were the first and one of the few nations to trade with Japan at the beginning of the Edo period's self-imposed isolation. Further down Kyushu's western coastline is the famous prefecture of Kumamoto, not entirely due to what is within it, although there is certainly plenty to see, but because of its mascot that is worth an estimated 160 billion yen to the economy. That is Kumamon. That being said, Kumamoto Castle is a standout feature and among one of the top 3 in Japan. Plus, there's also Mount Aso, a considerably active volcano that's often smouldering, but has also erupted 3 times in the last 10 years. To the northeast of Kumamoto is the popular prefecture of Oita. Again, by name, this may be somewhat unfamiliar, but within its jurisdiction is perhaps the more recognisable city of Beppu. Beppu is an absolute authority on hot springs, with almost 3,000 hot spring vents across the city and 8 onsen resorts. As a whole, Oita Prefecture, mostly around Beppu, has more onsens or hot springs than anywhere else in Japan. The rest of the prefecture is full of beautiful geography, as well as Japan's longest and highest footbridge to gaze across it all, that being the Otsuri Hashi Bridge. From here, things only get warmer, as we head further south to Miyazaki Prefecture, and it's a place that fully utilises its above average temperate climate. Its capital, as well as many other of its towns and cities, are located on the east coast facing the Pacific Ocean and offer stunning seaside views and activities, such as surfing. Other points of interest include the town of Takachiho, which is highly associated with the goddess Amaterasu and features a spectacular gorge. Finally, to the south of Miyazaki is the most southerly prefecture of mainland Japan, Kagoshima Prefecture. It is at the southern tip of Kyushu, but also extends further out into the Pacific, with multiple islands. Its capital city basks in the presence of the active volcano of Sakurajima, which lies almost directly in the centre of the prefecture and constantly, but lightly, rains ash across the city. One of Kagoshima's offshore islands, named Tanegashima, is also the base for a lot of Japan's space activity and rocket launches. There is of course one more prefecture left remaining, which you will find 400 miles off the coast of the mainland, and that is Okinawa Prefecture. Featuring a subtropical climate, Okinawa is a series of islands with plenty of sun, sea and sand, the likes of which you will struggle to find elsewhere in Japan. However, much like Hokkaido, it was originally home to a separate kingdom, in this case the Ryukyu. Yet a difference of language, culture and tradition still remain today. That marks the end of our whirlwind tour of the 47 prefectures that make up Japan. We only just touched on what each of them have to offer and what to expect from them, but hopefully you have gained some familiarity with the lay of the land and perhaps even spurred some interest into one or two of them, making you want to look into them further. Let me know your personal favourite or share some other points of interest to look out for. Thanks for watching.